Hey, welcome back to another video. This is JC Diaz with JC Diaz Uncensored. I hope everybody is having a great week. We are almost at the end of the week. It's almost the weekend. Um, Guys, I have something very interesting for you today in this video. I have to address a storm that is brewing in the city, in a city that holds a dear, part of me, is part of my heart, which is the city of Lawrence in Massachusetts. The city of Lawrence, Massachusetts was my home from for almost 15 years. And, it was the first city where I arrived when I arrived to the United States. Um, and, it's my home. I consider it my home. And even though I don't live in the city of Lawrence, but I hold it's neat, it's in my heart. And I know a lot of people there, and this concerns me. So I wanted to bring you guys the facts, because that's what we do in this channel. We bring you the facts about what's going on. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff going on. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and start the show, and we'll be right back. All right, guys. So we are back with you. Let's get into it. Let's not waste time. I don't want to waste your time. I want to get into this. So in the city of Lawrence, there has been this pretty much this past week. There has been a lot going on, especially with the city hall and Mayor Brian De Pena. Um, there has been a leak, and there is a call for investigation following a leak of a video and audio tape taken at Lawrence City Hall. Now, the city of Lawrence is like I said at the introduction, it holds dear my heart. Is part of my heart. Is I consider my home. And even though I don't live in the city of Lawrence right now, but it's my city, and I have a lot of people that I know there, and I feel that I should address and just get to the facts to give people what the facts are. Because one thing is to talk about something and talk about rumors and stuff and not know the actual facts of what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read over this and explain to you what's going on in the city of Lawrence, especially with the mayor Brian De Pena and the city hall. And as I'm reading, I'm going to put the slides up on the screen so you guys can read it along with me. All right. And then I'll give you my take on it. We'll get to it. We'll get straight to the facts. Okay. So here we go. It says, calls for investigation. Actually, this came out yesterday. This came out. Thank you to the Eagle Tribune and the city of Lawrence, to the Eagle Tribune. I got this article from them, and they're a really good newspaper, and they've been around for a long time. So thank you especially, but thank you to shout out to Jill Harmanshiski, and this is the person who wrote this article. So it says like this: calls for investigation follow a leak of a video and audio tape taken at the city of Lawrence. And as I'm reading, I'm going to post these slides. You're gonna be able to see the slides up on the screen. All right. So it says, William Castro, a former Lawrence police chief and current chief of staff to the mayor, testifies as a post-commission hearing in late 2025. Mayor Brian De Pena announced Thursday afternoon that the city has parted ways with Castro. A screenshot from a videotape taken in Lawrence City Hall outside the mayor's office. So the discovery that visitors and workers at City Hall were being video and audio recorded is prompting calls for investigations from officials and residents alike. A video and audio recording of a city worker, Francisco Ureña, speaking with William Castro, Mayor Brian De Peña's chief of staff at City Hall, was leaked early this week, causing concern and raising critical questions that require immediate answers. City Council President Giovanni Rodriguez said it's unclear how many taping systems are outside the Peña's office where Castro and Ureña, the Lawrence Airport director, were talking. The video and audio recording was posted on social media and also sent to at least one radio outlet in the city. While the confrontation itself is concerning, our primary focus is the broader issue of unauthorized audio surveillance and the data leak, Rodriguez wrote on a social media post with other city councilors. The release of this footage and other information appears to be a strategic move by the administration to use allied media outlets, radio programs, to manipulate public opinion. A pattern we have seen far too often, Rodriguez wrote. Councilors also asked how many others unauthorized audio recording devices are operating in our municipal buildings, where they are installed with any oversight, including the knowledge from our IT department. The taping is also the latest city issue in which Castro is embroiled. All right, so we got to keep reading here. Scroll to continue reading. It says, formerly acting Lawrence Chief of Police Castro was stripped of his policing credentials by a state board in February 2025 after he was involved in a high-speed chase, and an appeal of that action is pending. Castro is also the target of a harassment and wrongful termination lawsuit filed by the city's former planning and development director and several pending harassment and retaliation complaints filed by the Lawrence Police Superior Officers Union. Wait, hold on. So the chief of police is being accused of all these things, and the mayor of the city hires him as his chief of staff? Yeah, there's some questions there. There's definitely some questions there. District East City Councilor Stephanie Infante said, the events in that hallway are far more serious than they appear. It is particularly concerning that the mayor's chief of staff, Mr. Castro, a former law enforcement professional, is involved. I mean, with the record this guy has and all the pending lawsuits, I'm actually surprised. I didn't even know he was the chief of staff. I just learned this right now, honestly. If I was the mayor, I wouldn't hire him with all the lawsuits and all the stuff following on his record. I would not do it, but that's me personally, right? And this is all allegedly. I demand to know where this footage has been stored, how it has been utilized, and whether additional undisclosed or unauthorized cameras have been installed throughout our municipal buildings, she said. Neither Castro nor De Peña responded to a request for comment for this story. Ureña declined to comment. Wendy Luzon, a former city councilor and a community activist, sent a complaint to Attorney General Andrea Campbell about the taping. This is what she says, right? It has come to my attention that on the last week of March 2026, audio recordings were made of city employees and officials without their knowledge or consent, Luzon wrote. These recordings took place in hallways and office areas in a manner that was secret and unauthorized, and appeared to have been controlled exclusively by William Castro, chief of staff to Mayor Brian De Peña. Signs indicating that audio or video recording was taking place were only posted after the fact, which does not mitigate the violation. Now, let's be clear with this. When you're in a public building, there's no expectation of privacy. There's no expectation of privacy. There is an expectation, there's no expectation of privacy. the city hall is a public building, right? There's no expectation of privacy. Now, there has to be signs, letting you know that you are being recorded. There has to be signs. Now, if you see a camera on the building, which I'm sure you can see, you're being recorded. Now, somebody on the comments, if you know what's going on, please let me know. Are those cameras visible to people? Now, if the cameras were hiding, then that's a different story. There could be a story there. But if the cameras are public and you are in a public building, there's no expectation of privacy. But Massachusetts has a law, and we're gonna get into that after I finish reading this. Massachusetts has a law, and it's about consent, right, for recording. But let's finish reading this, and somebody let me know on the comments if those cameras are visible to people, or if the people didn't know there's cameras there. But let's continue reading. Signs indicating the audio or video recording was taking place were only posted after the fact. So it seems like there was no signs, allegedly, there was no signs saying you're being recorded. But if you see a camera, I mean, you have to, and you work in a public building, you have to have an expectation that you're probably being recorded, right? So, which does not mitigate the violation. It's unclear if Lawrence Police or another law enforcement agency is investigating. The alleged wiretapping is a serious issue that raises major concerns about civil rights, privacy, and trust in our local government, City Councilor Greg Del Rosario said. I sincerely hope that the Mayor, Brian De Peña, provides a clear and honest explanation, not just about why this happened, but also how long it has been going on, Del Rosario said. The people of Lawrence deserve transparency. Additionally, William Castro, Chief of Staff, must also answer questions. If, as he stated, he prides himself on being top-notch when it comes to security, then how did such a serious violation of civil rights occur under this watch? Vivian Marmol, city councilor from District D, said she doesn't condone the conduct she observed in the video between the two men. Such discourse demands a standard of professionalism, discretion, and mutual respect that was clearly absent in this instance, she said. Beyond the immediate behavior, I am deeply troubled by the existence and dissemination of these audio and video recordings. This breach raises profound ethical concerns and serious questions regarding workplace standards, privacy rights, and potential violations of state law. Liu Song, in her email, asked the Attorney General to launch a thorough investigation, determine whether state wiretap and civil rights laws have been violated, and take appropriate legal action to protect the rights of employees and the public. Now, and again, shout out to reporter Jill Harmanshinsky, and she is the one who, came up with this article. Now, I'm going to, there are some allegations, serious allegations actually, that are going on here. And I wanted to bring you guys what are the actual facts, right? I'm going to read something to you. We are going to go through what is the law saying in the state of Massachusetts so you can have an understanding whether, the recording of video and audio by the city hall and, whoever did this is illegal or legal. So I asked ChatGPT, can you record video and audio at a city hall? Is it considered a public space? And this is the answer I got out of ChatGPT, right? Yes, you can generally record video and audio in public areas of City Hall in Massachusetts, but it must be done openly, not secretly. That's where that gray area comes in. Like I said before, if you have clear signs that says you're being recorded, I don't see a problem. And you see the camera right there. Now, if the camera is hiding and there's no sign, then you have a case there, right? I'm just interpreting what the law says, right? Now, it says, yes, you can generally record video and audio in public areas of City Hall in Massachusetts, but it must be done openly, not secretly. Massachusetts is a two-party consent state, making secret audio and video and secret audio recording illegal. However, there is no expectation of privacy in public spaces or while public employees are working. Now, the people who were being recorded on that video that was leaked, they're both employees of the City Hall. They're public employees. So they have no expectation of privacy in public areas in the City Hall. In the regular halls outside, there is no expectation of privacy. Now, if they were having a conversation in their office, that's a different thing. Inside their office, there is expectation of privacy. In public hallways, there is no expectation of privacy. It has to be stated clearly with a sign, and you have to be able to see the cameras. But you do not have expectation of privacy in public areas of the City Hall. Now, key considerations for recording in Massachusetts City Hall. Open recording. Recording devices should be visible, like I just stated, open and notorious to imply consent. Public official areas. You have the right to record public officials and employees in public, non-private areas. Like I just told you, you can record in the public hallways, which where these two gentlemen were talking, it was a public hallway. It was not inside an office. I'm just stating the facts, I'm just stating the fact. Private conversations. You cannot record conversations where parties have a reasonable expectation of privacy. For example, in a private meeting or closed office without consent. Like I just said, if you are out on the hallway, you have no expectation of privacy whatsoever, as long as it's clearly stated and it has the sign and it has the camera where you can see it. Inside an office, absolutely you cannot record and you have expectation of privacy. Now, there is something in Massachusetts that is called, two-party consent law, right? I'm going to read it to you and I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see it. Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 272, Section 99, it is illegal to record an in-person or electronic conversation without the consent of all parties involved. This law applies to both public and private conversations. Even if a person is involved in the discussion, they must still obtain consent from the other participants before recording. Now, it says this law applies to both public and private conversations. The City Hall is a public building. The employees are expected to have no privacy in the hallway areas of the City Hall. Now, in their office, yes, there is an expectation of privacy. So the two-party consent law doesn't apply on the hallway, on the outside hallways where the two gentlemen were having the conversation. Now, the two-party consent law applies inside their offices. Yes, that does apply there. We continue reading. Massachusetts is one of the few states that follows a strict two-party consent law regarding the recording of conversation. This law has significant legal implications, particularly in civil claims, workers' compensation disputes, and employment-related matters. If an individual records a conversation without the knowledge and consent of all parties involved, they might be violating Massachusetts wiretap law, Massachusetts General Laws 272/99, which could lead to both criminal penalties and exclusion of that evidence in court. This is not the case here. These two gentlemen were outside in a regular hallway, and now what we need to find out is allegedly it's being said that there was no signs saying you're being recorded. But if you see a camera there in a public building, in a public hallway, you don't really have to have a sign saying, I mean, come on, guys. This is common sense. You don't have to have a sign saying you're being recorded. You see the camera and you are a public employee or public person, a civilian in a public building, in a public hallway. Now, if you're being recorded inside an office, then that's a different story. But in a public building, you can record. You can record. It's expected. You have no expectation of privacy. Now, the key aspects of this two-party consent law applies to all forms of communications. This includes in-person conversations, phone calls, video chats, and any electronic communication where parties have an expectancy of privacy. Again, in a hallway, in the city hall, there's no expectation of privacy. In an office, there is expectation of privacy. So the law doesn't apply there. This does not apply to a public conversation if a discussion occurs in a place where there is no reasonable expectation of privacy, meaning a hallway in the city hall. This does not apply. Recording might be permissible. Violations carry criminal penalties. Unlawful recording is considered a felony offense, punishable by fines and imprisonment. Illegally recorded evidence is inadmissible in court. This means such recordings cannot be used as evidence in legal claims, including workers' compensations. Now, the last part, it says here, can workers record their employers? An injured worker might want to record a conversation with their employer, insurance adjuster, or doctor to document important details about their claim. However, under Massachusetts law, doing so without explicit consent from all parties would be illegal. So, now that we went through that, guys, okay? First of all, let's put this fire to rest, right? A city hall is a public building. City employees are public servants. They have no expectation of privacy in hallways and public areas of the city hall. They do have expectation of privacy in their office. As far as we know, the camera that was the recording that was leaked was out in the hallway. Now, allegedly, they put signs after the video was leaked. But regardless of that, even if there's no sign and you can see the camera and you are in the city hall in a public area and you're a public employee or civilian, you have no expectation of privacy. So now I guess there has to be some investigation about the matter to see what's going to be determined. I'm just giving you the facts. Now, to me, this is my own opinion, right? It doesn't seem like there was any violation of any law in this leaked video because they were both public employees and they were both having a public conversation in a public hallway area of the public city hall. So to me, this is to me, my personal opinion, there was no violation of any violation of privacy in this conversation. Now, should there be an investigation? I mean, if there's reasonable doubt, and there's a reasonable suspicion that there is something else going on, like if people are concerned that they're being recorded inside their offices, yes, they should request like Wendy Luzon said, she should request the Attorney General to have maybe the police or the FBI, whoever needs to go out there and do actually a search in their offices and see if there's any recording devices that they're not aware of. But as far as in the hallway, I don't think there's a violation. I honestly don't think there was any violation. And, I just wanted to bring you this video because this is something that concerns me as a citizen. And, it's funny because just the other day I made a video about why only US born citizens should be allowed to run for office, for public office, whether it is working for the city or working for the federal government. Um, I honestly don't think this is one of those instances because this is something that could have been done by a US born citizen too. So, but go check out my video. I did it. I uploaded it to a couple days ago. I thought that I would bring you guys this video so we can actually see what are the facts about the laws in Massachusetts when it comes to a public place like the city hall. So I hope you guys like this video. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. This is JC Diaz with JC Diaz Uncensored. I'll see you guys on the next video, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care. Peace.